So it looks like we're live. Hello, everybody. This is the Logic Only Zone, and this is episode 34 of Logic Church. I'm here with some awesome, esteemed guests, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. Today, I've invited a bunch of SeaLion.Club people. SeaLion.Club is basically a Twitter clone type website, and I've been posting on there for a couple of weeks now. I think it's really cool, and you guys should be posting on there as well. Basically, I think a lot of people were doing something that we're calling shit posting, which is they're posting whatever they want, and because of free speech, Twitter was banning people and stuff like that, so people are like, well, I don't want to use Twitter, and so they're going off and they're using different stuff, so this is an option that people have. And yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of this DNC stuff that's going on. And I'd like to introduce my guests. First, my co-host, QNTKKA.
Hey, guys. Girls.
Yeah, and then whoever would like to, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So that's how you pronounce that. Okay. I haven't even tried when I see it come across Twitter. So, for those watching, I'm guessing maybe my voice is a little familiar. If not, the fuck is wrong with you? Now I go by Wizard of Cause on Twitter and the YouTube's there. Otherwise known as Nicholas Goroff. I'm a writer for Sargon's website, The Rationalists. I'm also the beer reviewer for EveryJoe.com. It's a tough gig, but we make do. And QNTKKA? I already fucking lost it.
Yeah, it's QNTKKA, but
Quantico here. Invited me to the stream via Twitter, and I had no idea what I was getting into, so here I am. Is this Lauren B, as in like Lauren B is like the Lauren B everyone knows?
That's me.
We haven't streamed it yet. We've known each other for well over a year. This is
wonderful. I know. This is great.
How you doing, Lauren?
I'm doing pretty fucking awesome. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, yes, of course. I am. I go by LaurenLovesLeykis. That's my current Twitter name. I keep saying I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it, guys. My YouTube channel is coming. It's just not here yet. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Cool. Yeah, and we got. Who's up next? Steve, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I just have my microphone muted because my air conditioner is about to blast off.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's been like friggin' 30 degrees here all day. Oh, right. That's Celsius. That's like...
Yeah, it's hot here too.
It's hot. It's hot. We'll just go with that. Hey everyone, my name's Steve Talon, and you know I'm a shitlord YouTuber who you know likes responding to various feminists and social justice types. Lately, I've been kind of starting to focus a little bit more on Steve Shives, and I have a few different videos lined up containing some very interesting content from CBC. So look forward to that.
Awesome.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yep.
Hello, Mohammed. How's it going, man?
How are you? Yeah, everything is cool.
Cool. Do you have any projects? Are you a YouTuber?
I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not part of the project, actually.
Okay. So, well, just welcome. Is there anything you'd like to say about yourself for some context, so the guests are...
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm Mohammed. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Egypt, and I'm happy to be with you guys today.
Cool. Yeah, welcome.
All right. So who else we got in there?
Hey, so Hisham, would you like to introduce yourself at all?
I guess that's.
I guess he's okay. All right.
Okay, well, you guys know me. You've seen me on here before, and I used to do music a ways back, and a little bit of writing and that, and now I'm trolling Twitter and different accounts and that, and doing videos and stuff on YouTube, but just a hodgepodge of things. I'm not as advanced as some of these guys here, so I'm kind of catching up.
All right. Well, so do any of you guys use SeaLion.Club?
No, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Never even heard of it until right now.
Yeah.
Well, my problem is I keep finding all of this, like, you know, dingy brass on the deck of the Titanic that needs polishing, so I'm sure I'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just basically like a site where people are posting. There's like no rules, and I think one of the best things is that there's no limit on the text, so you can put as much text as you want, which is also a problem for the servers apparently. But basically, there's no limits, so a bunch of people were getting banned from Twitter, I guess, and so this is kind of a big thing. And so there's all these sort of Twitter clones popping up out there, and it's opening up a lot of new venues for social media and stuff like that. I think it's kind of fascinating. So actually, a lot of the people that are here watching today are actually from that site, and so.
How many users does it have presently?
There's a lot. There's a lot of people at one time. Several hundred. There's a lot of people. Like the stream of posts is pretty hefty. It's nothing close to Twitter, but yeah.
It's got like Ralph retort numbers, like thousands. Love it.
Yeah, thousands of users.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A whole lot of users.
Because this seems to be the focus is the concept of migrating out of Twitter towards something else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, for one thing, there are some people who are saying it's premature now. Twitter's got the size, it's got the reach and the audience and such, but it is becoming increasingly authoritarian now. This isn't the first Twitter replacement I've seen proposed in, like, let's say the last year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I mean, do you worry at all, maybe, that in this migration, especially because it's primarily people who are fed up with Twitter's censorship, that it might not become itself, I guess, maybe an echo chamber for shitlords?
Yeah, and I think that might be a concern, but I think the main focus is that the Twitter basically was infringing upon people's right to free speech and kind of do what they want. And so, like you're saying, like Twitter's becoming sort of authoritarian in a manner. And I think that's really problematic, especially because Twitter's kind of become this thing that's a part of a collective consciousness. So people just, when they think of a website like that, they automatically think of Twitter. And so Twitter is the site that people are going to use or think that is acceptable to use, whereas all these other sites are popping up. And I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it's always possible that some of these other sites could become popular, or enough of them can pop up that enough people move off of Twitter. It's kind of hard to do something like that. But I still think it's interesting because like the monopoly that Twitter kind of has on language and communication, I think is interesting.
Well, there's something to be said, though. I mean, and I imagine even you being there, you probably crossed your mind. It's like, okay, well, is this going to last? Is it going to work?
Yeah.
But then again, we can consider the migration from MySpace to Facebook as sort of an example of how this sort of thing works.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just thinking the exact same things. Social media sites, they come and go. Facebook and Twitter have been two that seem to have kind of stayed around for the longest, but who knows, in the future, 5 years from now, Facebook could be dead. We don't know.
Yeah, that, well, oh, sorry, somebody up?
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, we've seen, for people who don't know about this, I think most people here know about this, we had this exchange between Leslie Jones from Ghostbusters and SNL fame, and Milo, right? And Milo is a provocateur, but in my opinion, what he does isn't that bad. It's not bad. He's just challenging people who are authoritarian to begin with, right? And And so he's kind of like lighting a fire under them, you know, like testing what they're bringing about, what they're saying, what they're trying to censor. And Leslie Jones went off on this girl, and it was some young girl, I think she's 16 or something, and she decided that she's going to have a bunch of her fans dogpile this girl. And Milo got into it with Leslie Jones and all that, and then you had all these other people saying things like insults, but right away the first thing that she says is that it's racist or it's sexist, all this other stuff. And if you look at the stuff that she was posting and the characters she plays, the type of job she takes in it, her whole comedy shtick is racist and sexist, right? So it's like, well, what do you, you know, a comedian that can't take a joke goes on Twitter, goes on there and uses their status to kind of beat down on other people, right? That have less status, and that's the whole thing. Is like there's this concept of you know, there's all these bullies on Twitter and all that. Well, I don't. If she wasn't bullying, I don't know what she was doing on there, you know. But but anyway, Milo got banned for it, and she's still on there.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, that was, you know, Twitter's been looking for a convenient excuse to ban Milo for a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now one thing that bothered me about, well, it didn't even bother me. It just kind of, it got under my skin a little bit. But in the reaction to it, right? There was less said about free speech than there was said about Free Milo, right?
Oh, right.
The cults of personality which have emerged, and honestly, if anybody is still operating under the impression that Milo Yiannopoulos has been engaging in this battle, this fight, that he jumped into Gamergate and then he takes on feminism and all of these things for anything other than the advancement of his own career, it's rather delusional. And I mean, and you know, hats off to him. He's done a magnificent job, and he has also pushed discussions in certain ways. But I mean, Milo, I can't, to my mind, sometimes I can't really decide who wanted what more. If Twitter wanted to ban Milo more, or if Milo wanted Twitter to ban him more.
Right, he's playing it. He is playing it.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
yeah.
And I suppose in this sense too. I mean, it's that kind of provocation is actually very functional in this sense, because it did highlight to such a point where Joe Rogan is talking about it now.
Right.
The fact that this guy, who is he's a self-proclaimed troll. He's out there to troll people, and he's rather brilliant at it.
Right.
But the fact that, you know, I mean, I remember 2 years ago listening to an NPR report about Twitter in Turkey, I believe it was, and they were being very censorious there because Turkey is Turkey, and at the time, I don't know, I don't think it was Jack at the time, but the vice presidents and the executive officers and all said, "Oh, we're committed to free speech. We're simply abiding by the laws of their land." So Twitter's been skirting this line of trying to appear to be a free speech platform for quite a while at the same time bending to the whims and wills of any censor who brings to them some, you know, chest-thumping argument as to why they ought to be hostile. And then, given the fact that they did that, and then they brought on people like Anita Sarkeesian into their Trust and Safety Council.
Right.
It really is, I mean, I suppose in this whole debacle, my only wish would be that there was a more, I suppose, stately example of this, rather than just some race-baiting bullshit.
Right.
The failed Ghostbusters reboot and everyone's favorite Queen.
Well, you know, Milo, when the Gamergate thing was, you know, kicking off, he was talking about, he was writing a book about it, right? And so he kind of like owned it for his own aggrandizement, I guess, right? And I could see that, but the thing is, since that time, I've seen him, you know, take on these people who are like really authoritarian, like Anita Sarkeesian or whatever, right?
Position himself beautifully, and he's done so in a way that, while being self-aggrandizing and self-serving, it's not you know, the actual purpose is not missing. He's getting done what needs to be done. Unfortunately, he's not necessarily doing it. You know, I mean, like, he's not the new Hitchens.
Right, right.
I've always been of the opinion that Milo's greatest dream, and keep in mind, he started out, he wanted to be a theater critic, so this kind of makes sense. But
oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I have a theory. Milo Yiannopoulos' true dream is to be our age's Oscar Wilde.
Oh, okay.
The problem being, though, is that, like, he doesn't face the sorts of moralist laws and social norms that Wilde did, which he was always challenging them simply by being a low-key gay man and a writer of things like the importance of being earnest.
Right.
Yeah. So Milo's got, he's got a steeper hill to climb if he wants to be that, that sort of contrarian.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what is kind of strange about the way that Twitter works with that is, like, I have a lot of erotica writers that I talk to, right? And the thing is if you see the stuff they post, and the pictures, some of the excerpts from their books and stuff like that, you would think that Twitter would have more of a problem with that, but the thing is that they're selling product, right? So you have this indie market, right? And then you have the larger publishers that kind of follow that. And they don't seem to want to touch people that have enough influence where it comes to making sales and stuff, right? But then on the other hand, you have where it's when it's a feminist issue or it's something that's an ideological issue, it seems like all the way from the top, they want to make this really like a statement about diversity and all that other stuff when they already have it, right? They already have all the diversity and all that. So it's like Anita, she's essentially, I think she's kind of trolling the gaming community, right? I don't think she really believes the stuff she's saying. Maybe she does.
Unfortunately, I think she probably does.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
because
like I'd say, like, I'm just going to say this, and then honestly, like, and I hate to hijack this in terms of that, but I think Lauren could probably speak to it better than most, but the inane and batshit crazy things you hear come out of feminists' mouths, they let there be no question they believe them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now, how much of that is...
Do you think so, Lauren?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They have bought it hook, line, and sinker, and they hold on to this rhetoric like it's their last dying breath, and it's scary. It's scary because what's happening now is you have people like Onision, who has a majority of teenage following, and he's corrupting these young girls. He's telling them this bullshit, which is it's absolute bullshit, and they believe it. They eat it up. And, when you're young and impressionable like that, it's really hard as you grow older to change your mind and to say, hey, maybe I was wrong about this, and look at the world a little bit more objectively than you did. Now, the thing that I will say is that, when you're that young, you do have time to grow and learn more, and you have more of an opportunity to change your mind, but you have to be willing to do that. And that is just, it's not the feminist mindset. They have to believe that they are victims.
Yeah.
Women are victims. So it's so enticing. I mean, who wouldn't want to say, "Oh, poor me"? Everything in this world revolves around men and is oppressing me. So I need A, B, C, D, X, Y, and Z, and I need you to give it to me.
Right.
It's the path of least resistance, and it's just really, anyway. To answer the question, yes, they do believe it.
Yeah, and like what you're saying, this whole victim ideology. I think when people go through difficult times in their life, they sort of start to blame things outside of themselves. and because it's easier to do that than to take responsibility. But the only way you're really going to be happy and make it through those struggles is to take responsibility for it. And,
right.
Yeah. And so feminism is like a comfort blanket that keeps you where you're at, you know?
To be fair, I'd go as far as probably saying rather safely that a majority of modern feminists, the activist types, these are not people who themselves have quite often really struggled through sexism. They haven't really experienced serious trouble due to the things that they're talking about. In fact, more often than not, I'd be willing to bet that they're probably rather affluent and, to borrow a term, privileged.
Right, because if you are really a victim of sexism, you go hire an attorney, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, exactly.
I mean, it's real fucking simple. It's not rocket science.
Not only that, but I mean,
this
if you can hire an attorney, if you can afford to.
They do it on contingency fees.
Not if you're a father who's struggling.
No,
against the fucking
if it's a winnable case. If it's not, they don't think you're very sympathetic or a man. Yeah, you're not going to get an attorney. But the women's should be able to get an attorney if it's a pretty clear-cut case on a contingency fee basis.
Well, see, what's happening is the term sexism, the term race, it's being redefined to include the most trivial of things. Okay, I'm sorry, catcalling is not sexism. Okay?
Right. Yeah, it is.
No.
It's not, and they are just including the most inane acts. Just anything that a man does to a woman is, oh my God, it's sexism, and I'm a victim. Someone please help me.
You looked across the parking lot on my way to my car. You're sexist.
Yeah. Even a compliment is, oh, you look beautiful.
Right.
If you say, I'm being sexist by saying.
I think my favorite one that I saw recently was somebody wished, like a girl was out doing something and then she wasn't smiling and she looked all sour and pissed and feminist probably, and someone in the shop she was like, "Hey, hope you have a better day." It's like hashtag everyday sexism. It's like hashtag.
Oh my God.
Can we please? I honestly, like, it wasn't until I saw this modern wave of feminism and shit that I honestly dreamed that Huxley's vision in Brave New World, there are things that are worse than that. And we're heading right into one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to back up a minute. I just want to mention something here. Back when we were talking about Onision having this very large audience of young, impressionable women, that reminded me right there of a church sermon that I went to. To give you like a really quick story here, I was effectively an atheist up until the time I was about 23. And then all of a sudden, I decided it was time for me to start going to church and blah, blah, blah. And I got somewhat indoctrinated, even though I was much older. But I do definitely remember one particular sermon that really stuck out. And it wasn't, I guess it was just more of an announcement. I can't remember exactly what happened in that service. Anyways,
coffee will be served after the service in the back. When I heard that in church the first time, I was like, hallelujah. What am I doing up before 1 p.m.?
Long story short, they were talking about the Christian university that's in the province where I live and how they think everyone should go there and blah, blah, blah. And I think this was around the time I started turning to the dark side. And they kept on telling about how vital, how important it is that you go to a Christian university, because otherwise you might fall away. And I'm thinking, I didn't really quite understand the complete nuances of it at the time, but now looking back, oh yes, I totally get it now. I totally get it.
Steve, thank you so much for saying that. Honestly, I can't believe this has never occurred to me, at least outright before. I've been saying for a while that social justice and feminism mirror religion in terrifying ways. But one thing that had always slipped by me, and this is maybe something just forgetting what the 80s and 90s were like, is that in those days, I mean, like things like Bob Jones University were cropping up all over the place. And one of the major fights between those of a more theocratic nature and those who wanted a secular state was trying to push religion into schools. And all the while that was going on, feminism and social justice was doing the exact same thing, just a little quieter.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day.
Exactly. There are so many parallels between modern feminism that I see and religious indoctrination. So it's ridiculous the amount of parallels that I personally see.
Right. Definitely. I mean, really, this is just an issue with any ideology. Anything where you have to close your mind to any other idea, and you're in this bubble with all of these ideas, and only those ideas are acceptable. And anything that does that is just bad for the human mind. I really just don't think that's what the human mind is supposed to do, is to be totally limited in a box. But I guess it's about safety and comfort, I think. You know? Here's safety and comfort, but not actually, you know.
Yeah.
Like here's a tiny blanket to hide your head under that you'll eventually struggle on when you're older.
Yeah, and it might choke you in your sleep and suffocate you.
You know, I found another parallel drawn here with the whole debacle with the Democratic Convention and such, and numerous Twitter fights that I've been in today. But I find that like ideology and religion are so close that in many ways they're almost really difficult to separate, because I used to make the analogy that it's like the difference between going to a buffet where you can put the plate together the way you want it and the way that works for you and the way that makes the most sense for you, and discard the things you don't like and take the things that you do. As opposed to somewhere where it's like, order off the menu, no substitutions. It's a pre-packaged way of thinking. You adopt it. You don't have to trouble yourself with deeper questions anymore. You don't have to spend time really digging into the nuances and specifics of issues. All you need to do is ask, what is the line? And then you take it and you run with it. And that's all you need. And it's more than just safety and security. It's laziness. It's a desire to have the appearance and the auspices of intellectual sort of rigor, while not actually putting in any of the work yourself.
Right.
Yeah, well, another thing too is what you see is that they take power, any little bit of power that they have, right? And this power.
Holy shit!
Well, that's a first for me.
Who the fuck was that wildcat?
It's a G time, Johnny.
Oh, fuck me.
But you take that power. They take a little bit of power. They get a little bit, and then they want more and more and more, and they keep pushing, right? And they're not getting the sufficient pushback. It's like you know. So they saw that they can demonize people by saying you're a racist, right? And then people are like, well, I don't want to say that. I might be a racist, right? You're a sexist. Well, I don't want to say that. I might be seen as a sexist. Now, they saw that they could use that, and, you know, with all the media tools that are at their disposal, they can use that to sell products, to push products, whatever, right? And so they can change a marketing scheme in the scenario and that to fit these people, and to make other people kind of like play along with it, right? Because they don't want, because most people don't want the fight, right? It's like Joe Jackson had a song, Real Men, years ago, right? And he said something about like, kill all the blacks, kill all the reds. If there's war between the sexes, then there'll be nobody left, right? And what he was doing is he's making a statement about how racism in that could go so far to where it actually goes into sexism, right? And that the real men in the story are the ones that more or less don't engage in it, right? But now we're forced into this scenario where we have to engage these people because we can't keep getting pushed back, having rights taken away, right?
Well, that's what I think Milo exemplifies very well is the idea that I'm just going to say outrageous things, and look, nobody gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's the way I think that you do push back, or a way to push back.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like what Nick was saying, there's people that are freaking lazy, and you can have the most logical argument in the world, the most researched argument in the world, and that's not going to change their minds at all. It's not. And so people that are on our side for free speech that don't make these logical arguments and don't don't put in the intellectual rigor, don't do the teal deer stuff, they're still free speech folks, and that's why I'm supportive of Logic and everybody that's going to SeaLion.Club. I think that it's unbreakable because it's a federated system, and I guess one of our guests here can explain it better than I. Who was it?
Hello?
Rebic?
Hello?
Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you see me? Excellent. Cool.
Yeah. Can you explain the federated thing to these folks?
Yeah. Okay, so cool. Hi. So SeaLion.Club is just one server in GNU Social, and I made a video about this, but basically it's like a whole bunch of different islands connected, or like you're going to your YMCA and everybody has a swimming pool with lanes, and each one's kind of like, hey, you can yell over at somebody. And yeah, so we're all like on different servers, but what you're seeing when somebody like Logic decides to tag 5 billion people is all the different people from different servers kind of responding to it. And so because of the Federation, basically, let's say Hope on SeaLion.Club decides to go ban crazy, and she suddenly is like, hey, you guys can't say whatever the hell you want anymore. No more stupid bullshit, or no more talking about Milo. If she banned all of you, you could go and start your own server and then just like refollow people that you were already following and like continue the conversation. Most people aren't going to ban an entire node. I think my node, the one I'm on, is only banned from one other server. But the thing is the best part about GNU Social, in my opinion, and part of the reason why I left Twitter, you kind of get stuck in your little echo chamber of like people you follow, and so all you guys are going to always hear, oh yeah, Milo, hell yeah, Milo. But here, when we came like 6 months ago for the last Exodus, we like half of us ended up on Quitter.se, so I don't know if you know what that is, but that's like the communist node of social justice warriors, and so they banned everybody that went there, and then that's how we kind of found different nodes. But it's kind of fun to be able to communicate with these people, because I don't know when the last time you guys had a Mac versus Windows argument was, but for some reason a lot of these people are like stuck in 10 years ago, and I don't know. So you're able to talk to all kinds of people from different points of view, which I think is better, and nobody can really block your entire group.
The weeb makes good points. And I read your backwards lettering. Man, FaceRig has come a long way since the last time I saw it.
FaceRig is garbage.
What, is it something else? Because I mean, I'm a fucking.
No, that's just FaceRig. It's garbage though.
Oh, so you're not actually having a stroke right now?
I'm
fucking hard. Oh man, fuck! I can't open my eyes. Where the fuck am I?
That's pretty cool, the thing you've got going there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but here's the big question, though. Here's the big question, because I mean, with all of the alternatives which are springing up or attempting to spring up, and I remember actually, I saw this when MySpace fell, because prior to all of this shit, and actually prior to like even getting into professional politics, I used to frequent. Surprisingly enough, in MySpace, they had the forums, and the politics forums were actually full of rather intelligent people. I mean, there was a bunch of shitheels who didn't know a damn thing, but what we kept finding was that, you know, a community actually formed there over the course of many years. And when MySpace turned to shit, a number of different alternatives were found, you know, different forms, history forums, places we could just carve out our own spot and have the discussions that we were having. And our opinions ranged all over the place. In fact, like, we're still friends. Most of the old community is still friends on Facebook. And they tried putting groups together there, but they kind of fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
But part of that problem was that even within the community, like within MySpace, it was nice because we had our standard form community as you always had it, but then you also had other normies and weirdos and randomers coming in, and then they'd engage and get those new ideas. If we didn't get that when we started migrating to new places. Now, if that's going to be the case with this, again, it comes back to the hug box question. If it's an alternative for people who embrace free speech, right? The only people who openly really seem to embrace free speech anymore are those of, largely it seems, an anti-SJW mindset. So it's not really going to give much in terms of our open debate against social justice ideology, for instance. Or if it becomes, or let's say the atheist communities are able to take it over, or at least seed it with enough things. Now, I mean, sure, Dean Esme will be there spurging all day because that's what he does, but outside of that, there's not going to be any real dialogue in terms of, like, you know, theist versus atheist things. I kind of worry that homogeneity might be an
not going to happen like that unless you guys, and this is the biggest issue that we see every time there's an exodus, is like, not all of you guys are fucking edgelords, but half of you come in and start, you know, throwing down cucks and SJWs or whatever the hell, you know, whatever the popular memes are, and then you guys just get immediately blocked. But the thing is that since you guys, like, the Twitter alternatives that everybody's been using, they're all GNU social nodes. And so when you guys come in on SeaLion.Club, you're talking with those communists and anarcho-capitalists and crap from the other servers. And so it's not, you're not only seeing SeaLion.Club. There's actually 3 different sections on your timeline. You have the people you follow, the people on your network. So in your case, it would be SeaLion.Club, and then the whole known network. And the whole known network is everybody that's connected to your server via somebody following it. So if Logic is following me on Shitposter Club and he's on SeaLion.Club, everybody on SeaLion.Club can see my posts in the whole known network. And so you can see what people are saying from across the entire Federation. And it makes it so no one is ever invisible.
Yeah, it does kind of get around that whole issue, doesn't it?
That's why a Federation
is fucking genius.
But it's also like a problem when you, okay, so Milo were to come on, I would recommend he starts his own server. It could be Miloverse or whatever the hell. If too many people hopping onto one, like, server causes servers to crash. It causes it to kind of become an echo chamber because you're no longer connected to those other people. If everybody you like is inside of your same node, it doesn't expand the whole node network. So what you want to have happen is diversify across the servers. It ends up working out better, and it keeps everybody being visible to everybody else's server.
Cool. Yeah. Anything else on that, guys?
Well, I noticed when I first opened my account on there, it was talk about server issues, man. It crashed it when Milo exited Twitter, and I first saw it, I think, from Based Mama that said she was going to go over to the SeaLion.Club, and I got over there, and it was shit. But now it's working great. And the other thing that it doesn't do that bums me out is it doesn't have direct messaging. Maybe that's yet, but it doesn't.
Actually, it does have direct messaging.
Oh, well.
Okay, so here's the thing. The interface that you guys see, the Twitter clone looking one, that's actually called Sequitur. It's just a plugin. So if you hit your drop down under your settings, you can hit classic mode, and then under classic mode, you can direct message people.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
Thanks for that, man.
I'm glad I bitched.
Yeah, bitch about anything.
So is SeaLion.Club, like, I don't know much about it. I'm here because I know Logic. Is it like the biggest? Is it the biggest Twitter alternative right now, or is it just a new one, or like what's up with it compared to like other?
Well, the Twitter alternative is not SeaLion.Club.
Yeah, you ought to
Okay.
think of it as the new social, and it's like an email server almost. Anybody that owns a domain can open up, and well, actually has a little technical expertise, can start their own little, not email server, but quote unquote Twitter server. And it's a federated network, so if you have one person or one node that you don't want on your node, I guess you can ban that. But other than that, you can't ban people. I mean, you can, but they'll just go to another fucking server, and boom, they're up and running. And my understanding is you can actually download your message history and re-upload it, so you still have everything. So
no one can get banned, but you kind of, like, it separates into these little nodes and communities and stuff, and like you can block, like, not see those communities if you want to, or you can, but you can't. Nobody's going to be banned from Twitter. You know, I mean, like they can from Twitter.
You can't get banned from the entirety of GNU Social unless every single server admin bans you, or like like silences you or sandboxes you on their server, which I doubt's going to happen, though I can see that happening for a couple of people if they don't shut up.
But those people could start their own, right? They could go and then start their own.
Yeah, they can. And actually, there is one server that blocked all of us on Shitposter Club because I don't remember why. But yeah, so some people do that, but it doesn't stop us from posting and interacting with everybody else.
Yeah.
Reasons are so neurotypical.
What?
Check your privilege shit, Lord. Reasons for doing things so neurotypical.
I have a question about SeaLion.Club. You said that, for example, if Milo wanted to start up his own server, like, exactly how does that work? Like, if his account would be hosted on that server, and all of his tweets would be hosted directly from that, or his shoutouts or whatever be hosted directly from that server, or how exactly does that work?
Okay, so if Milo wanted to start his own server, let's say it's like Milo, it'd be, okay, so like email addresses, we all have something at something.com or dot whatever. So I'm I'm at rw@shitposter.club. So Milo could be Nero at whatever the fuck.com. And so what he would do, I mean, if somebody follows him on SeaLion.Club, immediately he's going to be visible to the rest of the whole node network on SeaLion.Club. But people could go and join his server and still talk to people on SeaLion.Club or Free Speech or wherever the hell else. Like, your visibility comes from who you're following and who's following you back, and that's how it grows in the network.
Okay, I see. Interesting. So, is this like the long-term plan for SeaLion.Club and GNU Social? Is so you have SeaLion.Club and you have Shitposter, and I believe you said you had one other, or three in total, correct?
No, there's about 60 nodes, actually.
Okay, so are all these nodes, are they currently all hosted in the same server?
No, they're all separate servers, and so individual servers don't like save post history from everybody on GNU Social. But if Milo's posting on his node, there's going to be a backup copy saved on the server if he's connected through the whole node network of somebody else, so it can pull in case that server goes down. So I think that answers that question.
Okay, so just so I'm clear here, if Milo made his own account, and so that physical account is hosted on Milo's own server, correct?
If he makes his own server, yes.
Okay, interesting. And all the tweets are hosted directly on. Okay, so I follow you.
It just makes basically a copy of the tweet to every node that needs the tweet. That's basically the idea.
I like it.
I'm having fun playing with it, so I thought it was cool enough to talk about it with you guys.
We'll give it a look. Look, it sounds. I mean, like there's been enough. I mean, there's been enough discussion about it. It sounds like there's been thought put into it beyond just fuck Twitter, man. Blackjack and hookers, you know. I mean,
just one thing I'd like to say.
That needs to be a meme, Nick. That you need to do a voice meme.
Yeah,
it's
everyone knows
cool that you guys like are open to trying this out. Yellow Tub just said like it's not gonna take off with the normies, and it's not. Like
who gives a shit?
Unless there's enough people that come over. So the biggest issue I have with the majority of these Twitter people is like most of them are just like fuck Twitter, like you're saying, and then they stay on Twitter, right? You guys are trying to make the jump, and that's gonna make it better, like GNU Social growing. But the issue is that it's very technical. It's made for the free software Libre people. Like, I don't know if you guys know anything about free software stuff or the GNU movement, but like...
yes, I do.
Yeah, so there is some tech, like Quitter, the plugin that you guys are seeing, which is the Twitter clone, is meant to appeal to normies, but they're not going to understand like the whole no network thing or other things without people educating them.
Who are these normies you speak of?
You guys?
I'm not down with the lingo quite yet.
Yeah, the normies are you guys.
What is the name?
3D avatars?
Oh.
No, you guys have signed up, so you figured that much out. The normies are going to be people. Okay, so Twitter, I don't know if you guys have seen the stock prices, but it's continually falling because it's a fucking piece of shit, and like there's not actually anything financial there. Twitter like has a huge issue with like just people jumping on board there. Like, how do you get heard? How do you get retweeted? Like, how do you get followers? Twitter already doesn't appeal to most people. They're just on there because it's basically like a service now, like the news. Like, if you want to see what Donald Trump is tweeting, you have to be on Twitter. Or just read the news, apparently, because they'll share it. But for this, you don't have even that. You know, there's not the celebrities or the figureheads. We had Notch on GNU Social for a little while, which was hilarious. We've had Todd Kincannon on here, but most of these people just end up going back to Twitter. So the normies are going to be like your little sister who's like updating her Tumblr page, or your mom, you know, who is currently in my bedroom. Like, it's going to be a bunch of different people like that.
I got it.
Right.
So basically non-users, you'd say.
So hey, is Edgy trying to get in?
He said he could maybe. Did you send him a? What was it? What did he ask?
Well, there's.
I'll fucking kick his door down on fucking. Oh my God, Lena Dunham is speaking live on the fucking.
Oh,
right
now. What's she saying?
But I don't know if you guys are. I don't know if you guys are willing to talk about it, but there's some serious stuff going on at the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, with the party colluding against Sanders. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
I don't think that's much of a surprise. I mean, I think the RNC was probably doing the same thing against Trump, but they didn't do it well enough. They were probably against both Trump and Cruz.
Do we lose them?
And that's why they fucked up. But I mean, you know, people don't have integrity in politics, believe it or not. I don't know anybody anyway.
Yeah, it seems like either Trump or Hillary, you're both gonna get burned, you know.
Yeah.
Well, my thinking on that has been from Jeff's stream last night. It's that the choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump is a question of, do we want to rebuild the house from fallen ashes, or do we want to continually work to patch a cracking and failing foundation which will not stand? And I'm honestly, like, I'm not a Trump supporter, but between the two of them, part of me would almost prefer Trump, which I'm getting in trouble with some fucking randomer on YouTube, a number of randomers on Twitter about, but it's basically because here's a consideration that we can have. So if we get Hillary Clinton as a president, somebody who has lived her entire life in the political scene, somebody who knows the ins and outs of the Senate and the ins and outs of the executive branch and all of it, right? We get her agenda, she will know how to push a good portion of it through because she knows how it all works. And more than that, we also know her agenda is tied to Wall Street, military contractors, all of the bad actors that every good liberal in the fucking history of the United States, at least the modern history, has opposed. With Trump, what do we have? We have a party that hates him, but is tolerating him because his groundswell of public support is enough to be able to actually drive him to the nomination. Now, what sort of actions do you think Congress would take if Trump became president? Do you think we might actually see some action on a rollback of executive authority? Do you think perhaps we might actually see genuine debates on the floor of Congress about what the actual role of the executive branch is and was meant to be? I mean, after all, the GOP is all about the Constitution and the founding ideals, right?
So well, that'd be nice, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that being the case, though, I mean, like, Trump could. I mean, this was actually put out to me by a buddy, Mycroft. He goes by Mycroft Helms. He put it out that Trump is a good idea because it'll be 4 years of cringe and pain, but at the same time, he will destroy the GOP. What we've known of the GOP, the whole moral majority Reaganite madness of all that, and that whole chest-thumping, flag-waving, flagophile shit, as Hunter Thompson liked to put it, that will be over. And what we will see, I believe, in its stead will either be the GOP becoming a marginalized neoconservative party that is constantly having to fight against a growing libertarian party, or we will see Ron Paul's dream of a libertarian insurgence into the GOP become a reality. And at the same time, on the other side, I'm almost grateful for Clinton defeating Bernie, and I'm almost grateful for Bernie's supporters, myself included, being as upset as they are, because that is also the death of the Democratic Party. That is a party which needs to die and go away and be buried. It can go off and pretend to be liberal all it likes while it, flagellates itself about imaginary wage gaps and the like. But at the same time, at the same time, though, like, Sanders' candidacy has spurned factions, both of a radical revolutionary type, which, right or wrong as they may be in the spectrum of political thought, you need radical revolutionary voices. So long as they're not shooting people and blowing things up, as long as they're actually banging on, punching the fucking brick wall and making the points that they're trying to make, they help advance dialogue. Meantime, though, if we could actually find ourselves either the Democrats having to do the soul searching that the Republicans had to do from 2008 pretty much up through 2012 to figure out what their party was about, and they can actually come back to true, authentic liberal values.
Well, neither party, I mean, really has those values. They're both basically progressive parties. Would you agree?
No, I'd say that they're both exceptionally progressive.
Well, the Republicans have put in, voted for Medicare, Medicaid, things, Social Security, things like that. That's all progressive kind of stuff.
Oh, you're speaking.
Why don't you think that that's progressive?
You're speaking in like the old school FDR, George Wallace sense of the word, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just explain to me why you think it's different. I'm not accusing you or nothing. I'm just asking.
No. I just, when you say, here's the thing. It also comes down to like popular nomenclature, because in our modern context, especially within circles such as ours, progressive typically means Lena Dunham. Progressive overly tolerant. So genuine.
You mean retarded?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. Genuine progressive values do still exist. One person I think of quite frequently is Gary Edwards, YouTuber and philosopher. I've streamed with him before. He's brilliant. He's hard to follow because he's very academic and very philosophical. and he always, he talks about things like, he's like, oh, and so clearly misread Kant, as though everyone who's watching this channel is going to know how to properly read Kant.
Yeah. No.
But
No.
at the same time, I find his perspective embodies that which is genuine progressive values, that of being, when we can't even say the word collective without it being tainted now, but like a collective good is something like robust public services. It extends from from functional roads and functioning law enforcement to healthcare, education. And these are progressive values. Now, unfortunately, we could say yes. The GOP and the Democrats both support Social Security, but they don't do it out of a sense of virtue. They do so because it's politically expedient, because they know if they don't support it, then they will lose massive voter blocks. So it's
Right.
an unfortunate political pragmatism which drives them to do that. And at the same time, because there's so many influences, right? So the GOP and the Democrats can get into a big fuss and fight, especially in a midterm, which is the election that really matters but no one pays attention to. They can get into a big fight about Social Security. What are we going to do about Social Security? Meanwhile, nobody points out the fact, and Lauren, you're going to love this, nobody points out the fact that under the Child Support Enforcement Act and the Violence Against Women's Act, that Title 4-D of the Child Support Enforcement Act offers to each individual state up to $492 million a year if they can demonstrate that they are just, quote, aggressively pursuing paternal and support orders. That's all it says. So when we ask ourselves in the MRA circles, for instance, why are so many men going to jail for child support? Why is it so easy for a man to go to jail simply because he has a child? And why are false allegations given automatic credibility? It's not simply because some feminist insurgency into government has taken hold, but because feminist insurgencies in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s managed to pass legislation which made it such. But you want to get back to Social Security? Where do you think that $492 million a year for each state comes from? Social Security. So we dance around these issues, and we can say that these people and these parties, they're progressive, they're not. They're just catering to electoral bases because their sole interest is getting elected.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a business.
Yeah, on both sides, though, I see it a little differently. I think I see both from the Republican and the Democratic side that they like to control much of everybody's lives. Now, you'll get a bunch of liberals that'll say, hey, man, we're going to be free in abortion, and some on the right will say, hey, we're going to have more freedom when it's religion. But, hey, it's... it's both of them trying to control people's lives in one aspect or another, where they shouldn't be in my opinion. So that's kind of where I come from when I say progressive, right or wrong. That's kind of how I phrase it.
What do y'all think of the third parties? I mean, the most popular ones right now. I mean, they're not very popular, but the Green Party or the Libertarians or whatnot. Do you think they're truly progressive?
Well, the Greens. I mean, the Greens are in their own mind. The Greens genuinely believe in the things that they say, and the Libertarian Party likewise. Honestly, in many ways, I'd say the Libertarians and the Greens, despite them being in many ways diametrically opposed, are themselves actually closer to a genuine progressive Western vision of the nation than either of the parties we have in power currently are. The powers that be, the parties that we face, this fucking bipolar political system that we have, is itself, I mean, people oftentimes, it's an easy sort of adage to just spin off and say that, oh, well, the Democrats and the Republicans are just two sides of the same coin. No, they're not, honestly. It's a fucking Moebius strip. The impression that there are two sides to the Moebius strip is an illusion.
Yeah.
They serve the same masters over and over again. The very fact that we have an election right now that a corporate mogul, a corporate business mogul, is the nominee of the Republican Party, and the investor class is actually backing the supposedly progressive Democrat, That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, and I'll just add on top of that, like, so the downfall of the economy in 2008 happened under Republican watch. The Democrat, or Obama, got immediately in, and nobody got prosecuted for what you could probably say was the biggest.
Guantanamo is still open. Drone strikes indiscriminately kill civilians more now than they did before. The criminal justice system is not remotely reformed, and mass incarceration is still a big problem. The drug war still rages as it always has. Nothing changes.
Yep, it does sure look like they do serve the same masters.
Yeah, and then, you know, it's partisan politics. So you guys take that issue, we'll take this one. You know, it's just that kind of game.
A lot of people, you know, a lot of people go as far as, you know, talking about Obama, for instance, as though he was, you know, just another puppet, another stooge, and that's ultimately what he became. My impression of Obama has always been that as somebody who had a meteoric rise in politics and attained the highest office in the land, that when he arrived there, he probably walked in thinking his political capital was going to be enough to get his agenda moved through. And then as soon as he saw the mired and hopeless fight that came over the ACA, which I was tacitly supportive of until they scrapped the public option, because I'm in the camp of I want public health care. I'm not interested in this private shit. But the thing is that Obama got smacked real fast and real hard with the realities of high office, realizing that not only is he responsible for the country, but he's also the leader of the party, and that the party itself will face financial challenges if he doesn't bend to the whims and wills of the true masters of our nation, the corporate elite.
So how do you vote? How do you guys vote, just out of curiosity?
Vermin Supreme.
Or do you? Vermin Supreme.
Friend of mine, actually.
Free ponies for everyone.
He's a personal friend of mine. He's campaigned with me, and I've campaigned with him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I don't vote, but I think it matters that the people support a candidate because there's some sort of reason for them to want the public to be accepting of whatever decision they make. They don't want riots or anything like this. So showing what you care about, I think, is meaningful, but I think ultimately the choices I make in terms of voting don't really matter. Maybe for more minor laws or something like this, maybe within my community or possibly state, but you know, with delegates and things like this, super delegates, all these sort of people making the decision and not me, I just don't see the point of it. You know, spending my time, you know, several hours of my time filling out a ballot or whatever.
Yeah. Besides that, it's kind of the only reason. Like, I live in Alabama, so I know that my vote is never going to have any effect on the outcome of, you know, who gets Alabama's vote, because it's always going to be Republican. You know, so like, I mean, I know it's hopeless, but for some reason I still do it, just either for fun or because it makes me feel like I'm doing something good, or, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's totally not logical at all. I just go and do it now. Just, I don't know.
I never vote for somebody that I don't think has earned my vote. I don't do that.
You don't do the less of two evils.
I'm not going to vote. I'm going to vote because I don't like the other guy more. I don't do that. You have to earn my vote.
Yeah. Do you really want to put your name down on a piece of paper or on a historical record, basically saying that I, myself, my name, my person, pledge myself to this person, thinking that they'll be the best leader? No. That's why I didn't vote for Obama in 2012.
And that goes to logic, and I'm sorry, I don't know the other fellow's name, but, you know, because your vote really probably won't count in the presidential election, you should be focused on your local elections and seeing if there's anybody there that has earned your vote. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, I mean, the presidential politics are, in my mind, a fucking, I don't know what you call it, a distraction, because we argue about it all the time, and I'm the same guy. I'm the same way. I'm interested in national politics, but the politics that I could really affect are, you know, my neighborhood and my city council, maybe, and my county, maybe, and honestly, I don't do enough as I should, and I think that's a lot where a lot of us are failing.
Yeah, the big elections, right? The presidential elections, all that. They do tend to overshadow, our attention on local politics, and I think you have a point there. The thing is that when you get into the big game, and you're supporting the whoever, the president or potential president, it's so time consuming that you tend to not pay attention to a lot of the local stuff going on, right? So it's kind of like almost you have to go one or the other, unless you have the time to just concentrate on all of that, right? Which is I don't know how you do it. It's like when I go and vote, I don't know all of I know a few of them, right? But
you should always write my name in if you don't know who the candidates are.
I have a question here. Okay, so as Americans, I'm assuming almost everyone here is an American, probably except me.
I'm an alien, but go ahead. I'm a reptilian, actually, but go ahead.
Fair enough.
I'm an anime girl.
When you go to vote, like you have one election, like this coming November, you vote for the president, you vote for your congressperson. I believe you also vote for your senator, correct?
Not necessarily. They're in for 6 years as senators, so.
No, this is a Senate election.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean this round, typically on any given election cycle, the thing a lot of people don't know is that we have these general presidential elections every 4 years, and these are the big ones that everyone pays attention to. Now, in between those, every 2 years we have midterms, which is where we elect members of Congress. But on most every ballot, especially because he was Quantico there was speaking about local elections. If you go in during an election season to vote, on average, your ballot will be filled top to bottom. So if it's a midterm election, you're going to be voting for your Congress people, but you will also probably, depending on your state, be voting for your state rep, perhaps senators if there's a special election going on. You will be voting for things like dog catcher. You'll be voting for things like local town clerk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dog catcher, really?
In
some counties, yeah.
Yeah, in some counties, in some places, dog catcher is an elected office. I actually myself ran for county attorney in 2008, and then I ran again in 2012. Now, I wasn't on the ballot. I ran myself as a write-in candidate because when I went in to register to vote in 2008, I noticed that the sitting county attorney was running not only unopposed, but was running on both tickets as both a Republican and a Democrat.
Wow.
I thought that was obnoxious. I thought it was obnoxious. So
just a little bit.
Just a bit.
With the help.
Just a tad.
Here's the fun thing. With the help of my friend Vermin Supreme, I launched, and he's actually co-chair. He is the head of the Pony Party, but he's also the co-chair of the Absurdist Revolutionary Party, which I founded. And I ran for the office because I discovered for one thing, state by state law and the application of it differs, because if you have commonwealths, the commonwealths are common law states more often than not, and that is different than code law states. New Hampshire is a code law state, which means it is the precise lettering and wording of the law which is followed. Whereas in common law states, it's more about the interpretation over time and the common understanding. A quick example of this, if you go into Massachusetts and you go into Boston, there's a street called Sturrow Drive. It goes more or less around, it goes up along the Charles River. The stated speed limit on Sturrow Drive is 40 miles an hour. The average speed driven is between 50 and 65. Now, at one time, a former law professor of mine was driving, when he was in law school himself, he was driving these two corporate attorneys from Logan Airport to their hotel. And while they were driving along, they remarked, "Why is that state trooper not pulling anyone over? Everyone's breaking the speed limit." To which he responded, in a common law state, his job would actually be to pull anyone over who was going by the limit if they were going so much slower that they were proving an interruption to the flow of traffic. So it's more or less the way things work. Now, I live in a code law state. Now, the code law here in respect to running for things like county attorney specifically says that you need to be an attorney in good standing with the bar in order to be county attorney. Nowhere in that does it say you need to be an attorney in good standing with the bar to run for and win the office. So, I ran a write-in campaign promising things such as, if elected Hillsborough County Attorney, for one thing, I will make sure that all legal briefs are filed in Crayola-colored pencil date according to the day of the week. So that there's no more confusion, and we can orderly. Another one, I wanted to install a revolving door in the front entrance to the Valley Street County Jail so that, quote, we're not kidding ourselves anymore.
Wow.
But that's yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, what I found, we don't elect them here, but I found it fucking shocking and terrifying when I found out that in certain counties and in certain states, judges are elected. Jurists. The highest jurist in a courtroom is an elected office. And you get, if you look at places like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, the kind of candidates, and I see you nodding there, yeah, the kind of candidates you find running for positions as judges, fucking terrifying. I mean, truly terrifying. It's like, I'll be a good judge because I'm going to ride up on this here horse. I got my rifle, and I ain't a person.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
I'm the fastest good in town.
Get that.
Oh.
Ding.
Remember that congresswoman who ran in 2012 who her platform was basically that she castrates hogs?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow, I remember that.
Was she a feminist?
Well, duh.
No, I she ran for the Republicans. I think she was a Republican, I think. She probably was. So I'm just going on a hunch there, but no, that's pretty crazy. That's definitely a lot more complex than we have up here in Canada. We just vote for our local member of parliament.
With Trudeau.
Yeah.
With a bit of complexity.
Yeah, we have our member of parliament that we vote for on federal level. We have our MLA that we vote for on the provincial level. Councillor, mayor, and I think there's like one other elected position, but at least in my province, that's it.
Well, here's a question for you, though, as a Canadian who lives with a parliamentary system. Now, it differs country to country, but, for instance, do you, as a citizen, have any say of who the nominee of a given party is?
It doesn't work that way. There is no nominee per se. Like Justin Trudeau, prior to becoming prime minister, he was elected as he was first elected as the member of parliament for some fucking riding up in Quebec. I can't remember the name of it. And then he became a Liberal Party leader, and that's elected. The party elects him. We, the citizens, don't really have a say. I know it varies state to state in the U.S., but only party delegates have a say as to who becomes the leader of whatever political party. Now, every party does do it a little bit differently, and then when the federal election comes along, I can't vote for Justin Trudeau directly, but what I can do is I can vote for the local Liberal member of parliament. And basically, whoever wins the most seats at the end of the night, the leader of the party with the most seats becomes prime minister, regardless if he has a seat or not. But he typically does need to have his own seat as well.
Interesting.
But it sounds like a healthy dose of autocracy.
Sorry, what? You cut out there for a second.
No, I said it sounds like a very healthy dose of Canadian autocracy.
Yeah, more or less. It's it definitely seems sounds like a considerably more simple system. Than...
I mean, well, here's one thing. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and venture a guess that Canadian elections are not half as showy and show business and sexy as Americans try and be.
It's slowly starting to head that way.
Hey, we're exporting our culture.
The last election we had was, I think it was like 4 or 5 months, and that was the longest official campaign that we had in like 150 years.
Well, let me give you a little, like, I'm actually just effectively over the border here in New Hampshire, although I'm actually not allowed in your country. So, hey, how about that? But
I'll sneak you in.
I'm all set. Really.
He's good.
But here's a fun thing. So here in New Hampshire, we are New Hampshire is ultimately a tiny, irrelevant state. It's a backwards, just mentally and intellectually fucked place. This place is fucking retarded. I hate it, but I'm forced to live here. Anyway, we have, as one of our few points to pride that is not Adam Sandler or Sarah Silverman, the New Hampshire primary. We are the first votes cast in the country, and Iowa's been trying to hedge us out with their caucuses, and I'm with Christopher Hitchens and saying let's move up the California primary and just be done with that irrelevant little backwater. Anyway, here's the thing though: is in addition to hosting the nation's primary, first primary votes, we also lay claim to what, at least last check, was the world's largest government. So we have 1.3 million residents, yes? And we have, wait, is it 1.3? Yes, I think it's 1.3 million residents. And we have 400 members of the lower house.
Wow.
There are literally people in this state who are in state government representing cul-de-sacs. But because of both that and the New Hampshire primary, campaign season for most of the country comes and goes. We have about 2 days after an election in which there is no politics before it all starts again.
Jesus.
So don't anyone ever ask me why I am the way I am. But even with that, though, the levels of commercialization of politics here compared to other places, this is one thing I honestly can't help but think. And honestly, I think it really does filter down. You know, I think the corrupt intellect, broken ways of thinking, they go both up and down. And they come down by way of especially party politics. I mean, I just keep flipping over to my Twitter to take a look, and I'm seeing so many people saying that I'm a racist Trump supporter now, simply because
That's because you are, man.
Yeah, because as an actual liberal who believes in principles and ideas, I won't support Hillary Clinton. And that right away, that's the effect of party politics, especially in a bipolar nation like this, when we have this. Now, how it filters up, I think the two kind of collide and then feed back into each other, because it's just like a social justice warrior. If you don't, for instance, support Black Lives Matter, or you don't think Lena Dunham is a hero, or you don't think Mattress Girl is some brave soul, etc., 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 if you don't do this, you're a racist, a sexist, you're a... I mean, Lauren is apparently an overweight white male living in the rural South who attends Klan rallies. Isn't that right, Lauren?
You've outed me. God damn it. Now I have to kill you.
You know, Laura, I was thinking that the whole time. I was a little worried. But no.
And that's where we're at with this, though.
Yeah.
Back and forth, and it's this commercialization, this notion. Identity politics, I feel, extends beyond just the identitarian types. I think it really does filter down, just like we said before. Ideology, like religion, is this ready-made and easily adoptable set of principles one can just grab and hold and own and call themselves, and that defines who they are. And that certainty drives them to unimaginable lengths of intellectual dishonesty. And when you combine that then with a partisan system, a bicameral partisan system which is fueled by big money and big media.
Mm-hmm.
This is just what you get. We are spiraling wildly out of control, and as a sort of nihilist myself, I welcome it. Every time I see some massive breakdown within the public over something somebody said, or some misinterpretation of some idiotic shit, or some presumptions as to a person's intent and character, absent any evidence to support it, but based solely on the ideology which promotes the idea, I kind of quietly inside of myself clap a little bit. I'm like, okay, we're a little bit closer.
Well, I
a little
mean,
bit closer.
you know, at least it has to show that the way that we're doing things isn't quite working, and so we have to try something else, and maybe something that's totally radically different. Because I would say that if we're doing something and it's not working, it's not working. You know, if you continue to eat food every day, constantly, you're eating food and you're getting fat and you're getting slower and you're starting to feel bad, then you got to change your diet. It's not working, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're socially eating junk food, you know.
well,
junk food ideas.
It's not working for some people, but it is working for the other people, you know.
Right, the people, the leaders, right? Yeah.
Exactly, and they, you know, they won't want the system to change because then it cuts into their productivity.
Yeah, and their pocketbook.
Right.
We wouldn't want that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. One other interesting thing I want to mention is that in Canada, we always have like the possibility of an election happening almost every time. Now, 99% of the time, it doesn't happen suddenly. But basically, what happens when the early election is triggered, what happens is the government proposes, it's usually the budget that's considered a confidence bill for whatever reason, and if they can't get 50% plus one of the MPs or MLAs or whatever to agree upon the budget, the government will fall and election is declared just like that. That happened in 2011 here. It also happened in 2006 provincially. It happened kind of suddenly where the conservative incumbent had a majority in the House, but he only had a majority by one. And one of his MPs, I can't remember if he died or stepped down or whatever, and he just said, "Screw this! I'm not putting up with a minority government. I'm just going to call a general election." And he ended up losing. But so that's always kind of a distinct possibility. Yeah, it's written in law that elections are only supposed to happen 4 years, but it's also not a law that's really enforced. If Justin Trudeau tomorrow wanted to say, "Okay, Canada, you're going to have another election," which actually probably would be smart, really smart for him to do because his approval rating is sky high. We're in election season. We have usually about 35 days for all the parties to get their shit together and get MPs nominated for the general election. And it's quick, it's over, and it's done with.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a bird?
I am a bird.
Whoa.
Cool. Yeah, and it's crazy how long the election process takes. I just keep thinking, isn't it over yet? And no, it just keeps going. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that here a little bit with the last election, but I think we were just really wanting to get rid of the prime minister that we had, because he was awful. He was like George W. Bush. He was awful. We hated him, and because the two left-leaning parties can't get their shit together and figure out, oh, we're actually splitting the vote on the left and letting the conservatives win, he was in power for 10 years.
Yeah. So why do you think that you guys kicked Harper out and the rest of the world is moving further towards the right, and Canada is not.
Well, with Harper, it wasn't necessarily his policies. It was his
He was just
attitude.
too old.
It wasn't even that. It was his attitude. Harper was a fucking asshole, and he was a master manipulator. People were often just kicked out of his cabinet for no apparent reason. I think about a month before the election happened, he pushed out a child care benefit, which if you have a child under the age of 6 in Canada, I think you get $100 a month from the government for whatever. And he pushed out an extra retroactive. He gave them a whole bunch of money, like $300 per child under the age of 6, all at once. But what he didn't say is that money was actually taxable, and it was set up in such a way that you actually wind up having to pay most of that money back.
Wow.
So yeah, he was very corrupt. He constantly he had 2 minority governments, and he constantly had to rely on like bullying tactics or manipulate or working with the Quebec Separatist Party to get his budgets passed. The first 100 days or so he was in office, he passed something called he passed some bullshit like Clarity Bill or some fucking bullshit in there. Anyways, there was a clause. There was the first time that we ever had fixed election dates nationwide here. So under that clause, we weren't going to have the next election until 2010. And then 2 years later, he was like, Parliament isn't working anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and call an election. So he broke his own fucking law. And somehow he still won, but he still had a minority. So he was still hamstrung by one of the opposition parties in order to stay in power. And again, he usually wound up working with the Quebec Separatist Party because they were the only party really that would give him any attention because no one else wanted anything to do with him. And then just so happens the Liberals elected some guy who was very unpopular in 2008. They tried to pass a budget bill. It failed. An election was called, and the leader of the NDP was a guy named Jack Layton. All of a sudden, became really popular, and they actually got the most seats they ever got in that election. But it split the vote on the left, and Stephen Harper wound up with a majority. So he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly when to call elections and when not to suit him. He wasn't working. He wasn't interested in the people. He was interested in what would further his own agenda. He didn't give a shit about the people at all. Now, you can make the argument, oh yeah, a lot of politicians are like that. Well, it was blaringly obvious with Stephen Harper, and we wanted him out. We were sick and tired of him. And normally only Canadian prime ministers last about 10 years anyway, so.
Right. That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
Can you believe that the person who's in there for Canada right now, didn't he do something where, like, the Senate or the Congress has to be half female or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the cabinet, which is a group of MPs from Parliament, which, like, there's a minister of finance, there's a minister of veteran affairs, there's a foreign minister, and I think you guys have something similar.
It's 2016.
Yeah.
It's time to do that.
I couldn't believe he did that.
They're also unloving now.
Really, buddy? And it wasn't just so. It wasn't now. He actually kind of technically lied when he said, "Oh, I'm going to have a gender balanced cabinet. I'm going to have 15 men and 15 women." Well, what he left out was that he's actually also considered part of the cabinet, which actually brings the total up to 31. So it's technically not a gender balanced cabinet. But, he also had make sure he had someone in there with disabilities, and make sure he had a Muslim in there, and make sure he had this, that, and the other person there. It's just, the identity politics was just fucking atrocious. I feel as though we went from the fire into the frying pan.
Wow,
Yeah.
man, that tokenism.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of what's happening here. I mean, Hillary keeps pushing this, oh, the first woman president, and it's bullshit. I don't care what the color of your skin is or what you got swinging between your legs. I care about how well you can run the country, and it's just oh my God, it pisses me off. So many women they're just like, they're gung-ho and they support Hillary only because she's a woman. It's like, Americans have this problem where we cannot think outside of our borders, okay? They think that, just because America has never had a female president, that that means that women everywhere are just oppressed and, no woman can ever do anything great. And meanwhile, every single time when a feminist brings this up to me on Twitter, I post the list of all of the female presidents and heads of state that have, ever been. And they shut up. They shut down. They can't even... They cannot fathom that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people.
In light of facts.
Right. So this whole identity politics thing, it really pisses me off.
Well,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well. Now I don't know how many of you remember this, but back when McCain was running. For the Republicans, and Bush was running the same time, right? GWB. And so they started this rumor, this call rumor or whatever, about him having an illegitimate black baby, right? And that became, and so they were playing that race thing with a lot of the Southern voters, whatever, that kind of thing, right? And the thing is it's not so much that it worked, but the machine was behind GWB. But most people wanted McCain, right? Most of the Republican voters in that wanted McCain, but the political engine was behind GWB. So what they did is they propped up McCain as their main candidate, just like the Democrats propped up Bernie, right? And they pulled the rug out from under him before the election. And so McCain was going to switch to be a Democrat, right? And so Tom Daschle and O'Brien, I forget O'Brien's first name, they went to McCain and they talked to him about running him as the Democratic candidate for president, right, in the next cycle. Well, what happened was McCain agreed to it, then he changed his mind, and then that's where Obama came in, right? So see, this whole thing was playing race against the Republicans, right? The Republican Party doing that to themselves. And then that transferred into the Democrats picking up on that and saying, "Oh, we're going to have a black president, right?" And so it became a thing with Obama. Now, I voted for him, and it had nothing to do with his race or anything like that. I wanted Kucinich, right? Well, Kucinich was another one that they propped up, the Democrats propped up, and they pulled the rug out from under him. So I knew exactly what they were going to do with Sanders. Now, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was the one person, the key person, who stopped the impeachment of GWB and Dick Cheney, right? And they had the goods on them. The Democrats, and it wasn't just Democrats that were doing this, but they were going to go after him with all the Iraq War stuff, right? And Debbie Wasserman Schultz said no, because if we do this, we stand to lose some seats. And we'll lose some power in the Democratic Party. Now, Ed Schultz from MSNBC was interviewing her, and he almost had a heart attack when he heard it, right? They were really going at it. Randy Rhoads hated her, right? Randy Rhoads hated Hillary Clinton. Now they all love Hillary Clinton, right? Because that's the next thing. They want to have this woman president. But this all came about from this race war back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats.
So in other words, the race war has been going on this whole time. We just had no fucking idea.
Right. And the thing is that they're playing off of public perception, right? But the people that they're really going after aren't the opposite. It's not like the Democrats are going after the Republicans. They're going after each other. And the same with the Republicans, right? Now, the thing is that, okay, so you see Trump becoming the popular person. You think they'd throw everything behind him, right? But they didn't want that because he wasn't establishment, so to speak, right? He didn't fit into their plan. You know, so now Hillary, if they get her in, they will have the woman in there, and then the thing is the Republicans will push really hard to push a woman in there.
Was getting caught part of Trump's plan?
What's that again?
Was getting caught part of Trump's plan?
Trump getting caught doing what?
Well, you know, he's a big guy.
Oh, Trump. See, the thing you got to think about Trump. Now, Trump was on Oprah's show like something like 20 years ago, maybe 25, I don't know, where Oprah suggested to him about running for president, right? Now, if you followed the Young Turks, you'll know that Cenk Uygur went after Trump for his involvement with Go Proud. And Go Proud was the conservative gay party, right? That was the gay wing of the neocons, right? And so what happened was Trump was more or less trolling the Republican Party back then, you know, and we're talking like in the Bush years or whatever, right? So he was trying to get power then. So it wasn't like an overnight thing with him. It's like he has planned this for a while, and his reasons for doing it, I don't know. You know, I don't know if he really thinks he can save the country or whatever, but I'm thinking that he's probably looking at it like the way a businessman would. And if he can make things work for business, it might help the country, maybe not. Maybe it'll be more offshoring of jobs and stuff like that. But the thing that we do know is that when Obama was running against Hillary, Hillary started that campaign with, what was it, the 2 a.m. phone call or the 3 a.m. phone call, where, you know, what would a black man, a black president do if he got that phone call at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you know, implying that somehow because of his race, he's not going to answer that phone, he's not going to protect the country. And when I saw that ad, I was like, I will never, I didn't have a big problem with her before that. I saw that and I was like, I will never vote for her, no matter what, right? And then Obama gets her in the cabinet when he gets in. Obama had these gay supporters that he had a big gay bloc that was pushing for him when he got elected. As soon as he got elected, who did he have in the
a big gay what?
He had a big gay bloc.
Bloc,
right?
Okay.
That was that was supporting him, right? Where the Republicans didn't have that, right? Okay. Well, as soon as he was elected, he got Rick Warren, the Reverend or whatever that wrote that Purposeful Life, who's openly anti-gay. He got him into the White House to give a sermon, right? So that was the first thing Obama did. That was like a big smack in the face to his supporters, right? But you know, so it's just games between them, right? There's no real agenda on either side. They both kind of push for the same things, but they fight each other to get what's the popular thing, right? The populist thing. And that's why I don't get why they did so much pushback on Trump. Because if he's a popular candidate, you think they'd jump for that, right?
Right. Wow.
I'm gonna go drink some bleach now. I'll be right back.
Drink petrol.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Edgy, Fraulein.
Whoa.
Yeah, that guy named Kevin was me. I came in on the wrong account.
Oops. How's it going, guys?
That's his other code name.
Going good. We were on Social Mutants 100 subscriber stream, so that's why we're late. But
got interrupted a lot.
I saw that in the chat. People were like, I can't believe he's doing that at the same time. But yeah.
Yeah, what a faggot.
Yeah,
I know.
We only played it 3 days ago, but you know.
Yeah. He probably saw I was planning to do this, and it was a sabotage.
Well, you've got more viewers, so I think you're winning this one.
Oh, cool. So, hey guys, what did you guys think about the whole DNC thing, about the whole Democratic Party betraying Bernie?
Cook for it.
My stock line was that it was the worst episode of SNL ever.
Yeah. I saw this video of Hillary being questioned about it, and she's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. that
Of
didn't
course she
happen.
doesn't. And she doesn't know what happened to the emails either.
Yeah.
We were watching the DNC the other night, and it was pretty terrible to see them. All they do, they sound to me like a toothpaste advert. They sit there going, we're going to fight for this, we're going to fight that. Like a toothpaste advert goes, we're going to fight plaque. You can fight a brick wall. It doesn't mean you'll win, right? You can fight for shit. All it says is, we're going to maybe do this. That's what you're telling me. Your whole proposal is a maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was really cringeworthy when Sarah Silverman got on there, and Al Franken had to basically save her from the booing and stuff.
Oh man.
You know. But now you got the thing with Silverman. Okay, she got busted because she told that story, that feminist story about how the comedy club owner screwed her over on the pay, and she paid the male guy more money. Right? And and what it turned out is that he came out, he was offended by it, and came out and he said, look, he said, she was a guest spot, and we don't pay any of the people on the guest spot, right? So she didn't even really, like, apologize to him. She was kind of like, oh, my bad, that kind of thing, right? And then she's on stage defending Hillary with all the lies with her, and it's like one liar supporting another liar, and then you got a bunch of comedians on stage in politics, right?
Last night, like, holy shit, like, I was watching the DNC, and my mom, like, she came into the room and to bring me a plate of chicken nuggets, and, like, I literally screamed at her and hit the plate of chicken out of her hand, and she started yelling and swearing at me, and I slammed the door on her. Like, today, I am so distressed right now. I don't know what to do. I didn't mean to do that to my mom, but I'm literally in shock from the results last night. Like, I feel like I'm going to explode.
Oh, I thought it was a chicken McNugget.
Fucking fuck is he losing? Like, how did he lose? This can't be happening. Like, I'm having a fucking breakdown. I don't want to believe that the world is so corrupt. I wanted the future I could believe in. I wanted Bernie to be president and fix this broken country.
Well, let me
fucking deal with this right now. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I thought it was Poland, well, in New York. This is so fucked.
Well, now
it's gonna be all right.
Yeah. Do you know who Tom Hartman is?
He's dead.
Tom Hart? No, not Tom Hartman.
Oh,
No,
I thought he died last night.
Tom Hartman is not. Wait.
Oh, you're talking about the radio host.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had brunch. Right. Well, he had brunch with Bernie every Friday and that. And I've talked to Bernie before on the show. Well, chatted with him. But Tom Hartman's used some of my lines and stuff in his shows and some of them, right? So I was on there quite a bit. But the thing was I believed in him back then. That was a while ago, right? And I had him pinned down on a few questions that he wouldn't answer. And I kind of had questions there. But I was a Kucinich guy, right? I backed Kucinich. And what happened is the DNC totally screwed him over, right? And so when Bernie came up, to me, it was just like as soon as they started talking about it, I'm like, this is just going to be a repeat of what they did with Kucinich. And sure enough, it's almost exactly what they did with Kucinich.
But why did Bernie bend the knee?
Why did Bernie? Yeah. Well, see, he shouldn't. Yeah, he shouldn't have. Well, I don't know. The thing is he's a career politician. He doesn't want to lose his position that he has, right? And he does want the Democratic Party to win because they're going to be closer to what his agenda is, right, than the Republicans, I guess. And so then he's got to kiss ass to Hillary. But now if you're going to do that, why be like, we're going to have a revolution, and I'm going to sue Hillary's people, I'm going to sue Debbie Wasserman Schultz, all this other stuff. And then the next day, like, okay, well, here's our candidate, Hillary. I'm going to fully support her.
Well,
it's
Ted
like
Cruz didn't support Trump, so I guess Ted Cruz is better than Bernie.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I guess you could say that, yeah. Because Bernie right now, it's like anything he says is bullshit. It's total bullshit.
It seems like they got him somehow. You know, they got something and they just own him. You know,
well,
he's their dog.
Okay, if you look at McCain wanted the presidency really bad because he was getting up there, right? And he thought he deserved it. And Bernie probably feels that way. You know, he's getting up there. He's never going to have a chance again. Never, right? But I don't think he had a chance this time. I think this was rigged from the beginning. They knew they wanted a woman in. And what's her name? Warren?
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. She was the first one they had groomed even before Hillary for being the next president. And she backed down on that, and so they went full bore on Hillary, right? And you know, probably they would have done the same thing with her too. You know, they probably would have propped her up and Hillary, and then you look at it and you say, oh well, I got two women to choose from, right? You know, so I don't know. That just yeah, identity politics. They're all playing games. They're not concerned with what the people really want, right?
Well, and it's kind of sad because Bernie was coming out kind of like that guy, like I'm gonna save you guys, I'm gonna help you guys out. But when push comes to shove, you know, and he's in a losing position, he just goes to save his own skin. So it's not about the other people. It's not about the people that he wanted to help anymore. Now it's about him.
I don't know. I got really confused by his policy of, you know, taking away college tuition and stuff. It really confused me as to surely that only becomes a national debt then.
Exactly, and that's the problem. It's the problem with a lot of the Bernie supporters. They don't understand the implications of the things he was espousing. You know, yes, free college, free tuition. It sounds nice, but nothing is free.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone pays for it, and you know they just don't. They can't follow the money.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you
I'd
think?
say well, yeah, sorry, I was going to say the Liberal Democrats in the UK did the same thing, but in the last election anyway, where, and that's the reason why we got a hung parliament, was because they haven't got enough people to fill all the seats in parliament in the UK. But at the same time, they proposed the same thing, completely abolishing student tuition fees, completely. So obviously they got a lot of votes, which created the hung parliament that got us a Conservative Party instead. But yeah, it's well, I looked at it and I was like, there's no way you can do that without creating more national debt. It just doesn't work.
Well, what do you think Elizabeth Warren meant by this picture? That's all.
That's fucking brilliant.
Kyle Hillary.
Oh God. Oh God, that's great. I actually kept saying, like, she does a lot of hand gestures just like Bernie. If you actually pay attention to her mannerisms, body language, it's just like Bernie the way she does it, but it's female Bernie. But Edgy said that, and it was like, yeah, spot on, like.
Did you guys ever see those pictures of somebody released a bunch of pictures of Hitler where he was practicing all of his stances before he'd go in front of people? He had a photographer, and they would take different pictures of his poses, and then they would look at the pictures, and it'd be like, okay, well, yeah, that's a good one. Go with that, right? and so he and they're awesome pictures if you get a chance to see them. But yeah, there was he really, or his machine, political machine, they really thought of that stuff, like every detail. And I had heard that about Obama, that he took these courses, they were like hypnotic courses and stuff, but what it was all these subliminal kind of hand gestures and the way you tilt your head and stuff like that. I guess it'd be like fall under sociology or something like that.
Well, and she was trained to do that. It's known, you know, they taught her to express emotions and stuff like that because she was having difficulty with this, expressing empathy in particular. So
when I was this is weird because, like, I know when I was working as a croupier in a casino, the three things you have to pay attention to are body language, tone of voice, and then what they're actually saying. What they're actually saying is a very small percentage. Body language is always the biggest, and then it becomes tone of voice, and then the actual thing that they're saying. It's really crazy when you work that out, that it's flips completely to what somebody's saying, but it's definitely a new lease on life for when you're looking at things.
Yeah, and yeah, so there's like a science behind that, and like if you're not if you're a voter and you're viewing one of these people giving one of their orations or whatever their speeches and that, if you're not looking for all those subliminal things, it could draw you in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I heard another. They had a tape of Hitler, whatever, where he was calling someone and talking to somebody, and it was some leader, some world leader, whatever. But he was totally like a different guy. He was like totally smooth and stuff, talking to him and all nice and all this other stuff. And then he gets on stage and he's got all this stuff. He's playing a character when he was on stage. You know, that was a character he was portraying, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, you have to assume, you know, when you look at the especially with like the Democrats now, Democratic Party, look at the comedians and stuff on stage, the actors, stuff like that, right? And the Republicans, you know, they'd draw on like Clint Eastwood or stuff like that, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? It's like there's already a market for them, there's already an appeal, and you know, you're going to see them and you're going to like them, but you're not going to think like, I like them because I saw him do that in that movie, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Sorry,
I filled that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I read the side chat then, and I'm dying to laugh. Like, I love that. Like, it's so fucking funny. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, it's fucked up the way that it is. I find it a little bit. I don't know, because it's one of those things. It's like there's so much propaganda, especially in the UK, that we get when we're paying attention to America. So we obviously hear that Trump's a racist and Trump's mental, and that look at him, he wants to segregate societies and stuff. But no, it's democracy that you live in, and even if you want to vote for him as a country, then what's the problem with that? And I mean, now you're literally looking at him versus Hillary, and Hillary is fucking wrong. In every sense of the word, like I just can't stand her whole sense of being. It doesn't work for me at all.
I think she's terrifying.
Yes, it's fucking weird. It's like looking at someone with that you know is bipolar, but she can literally switch depending on what someone says. Like literally, it's the same thing. Like I've lived with someone who's bipolar that went mental one day and tried to burn down the place we were living in, and it's crazy. Right, it's mental, but that's how she feels when I'm looking at her. But it looks like she's got it on the wraps, but it's almost like she's got what is it? She's completely got a lack of memory because she's just not remembering the things she said before and staying cohesive like to what she said. It's not even working. It's wrong. And we're living. Sorry, I was going to say we live in the modern age though, and that's the thing, and it's all seen. But yeah, go for it.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you, and I have had that bipolar situation too. I had a girlfriend. I had to pull razor blades out of her mouth one time. We were having a great time at a party, and we get back to the place there, and I think she's getting sick in the bathroom, and she's trying to swallow razor blades and stuff, you know. So I'm like, and yeah, and the thing is you know. Sometimes you want to know the person that you're going with or whatever, or been with for a while. You want to know all that stuff ahead of time, but it didn't work that way, right? It's like when they go off their antipsychotics and that. But yeah, I do see that. And the thing with her though is I think she's just so phony. I think she's acting all the time, and when you're acting all the time, it's hard to keep those characters together, right? It's you know, for who am I? The movie The Stepfather, I don't know if you've ever seen it, a horror movie. There's a character that he's a serial killer, and he just adopts a family and kills them and goes on to the next family. And he changes identity every time he does this, right? Changes his look and everything else. Well, there's a scene where somebody calls him and he forgets who he is. You know, he's on the phone, he's like, oh, wait a minute, which one am I now, you know? And that's what I kind of get from Hillary. It's like every time she talks to someone, it's like if she talks to a feminist, I'm a feminist. If she talks to MRA, she'd probably be I'm MRA, right? If she talks,
yeah, exactly.
It's like she's not sticking her toes in these waters. She ain't doing that.
Yeah, the thing is the thing is that to be fair, you have voted for an actor before, Ronald Reagan, like as a country, like but now you're literally voting for actors. Like it's hilarious when I think about it. Like, but like they're actors that aren't quite actors, but when they go on, they'll act a new persona per meeting they're having. It's like it's the weirdest form of it's like schizophrenia, like I say, but it is like a mental defect, but it's something that actors do. They go on and play different characters depending on what they have to adhere to when it comes to their speech.
Right, but what does that say about the American public that we knowingly elect people whose job it is to pretend that they are other people. What does that say about us? And it's only gotten worse, you know?
That's a good point.
I mean,
it's almost like they live in an ideal world almost, where it's like, because this person is saying the things that I want to happen, I'll go for it. But if you slow down what they're saying, as I said before, they're only fighting for it. And if you think about what that word means as it is, it doesn't mean you win. It means you'll fight
nothing.
for it. And if you're in charge and you're leading a country, you should be able to go, no, we're fucking implementing this shit. Like...
at the same time, though, when people complain that a president doesn't do everything they promised, it's like, what do you expect? They have to go through Congress and due process. They can't just say, all right, guys, socialism tomorrow.
Exactly. And you know what? And that's kind of why I don't really understand. I mean, I get the opposition to Trump. But the bottom line is, if he gets in office, I'm hoping that he does, it's not like he can just go get into office and then start making all these rules and demands.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding of how the presidency even works. You know, it's like people think that the president can just get in and do whatever he wants, and it's like, no.
Exactly. And this is a problem that we are having, and this is another reason why I am on Trump's side, because he wants to get rid of Common Core. And if anyone has been paying attention, I have teachers in my family. A couple of my cousins are teachers. One of them actually quit because of the regulations that are in place because of Common Core, and it is dumbing down our children. And you know, I don't know anyone my age that has taken a civics course in high school. They do not teach us how our laws work. We don't, like, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, they don't really teach you in school, like, how to live.
No.
Yeah, they used to have, but way back in the day, they used to have social studies and economics and all that, like as standard courses, and they took that all out, right? Okay, but I do have to give a plug for Seattle for Truth, right? He did a video, and it's a 3-hour video, so a lot of people won't watch it, right? But it's on Gamergate, the truth behind Gamergate. And if you can sit down and watch that video from beginning to end, and just check out the stuff, I can verify that a lot of that stuff is true. And he talks about how Polygon and Common Core and Microsoft and Clinton and all that, how they were tied together, right? And what a big part of that was is you had, well, I don't want to go into the whole thing. It's like you really have to see it. It's a 3-hour thing, and it's like chocked full of information. And you can watch it and say, like, okay, well, this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory kind of thing. But you really got to check. He's got all the video references in there, right? And you can see where Polygon was working with the Democrats, trying to change language in video games. To try to sway people through that. And this ties directly into Anita Sarkeesian, right? She is political. She is working for a political engine. But she's not doing it for politics. She's doing it for money. You know, so definitely, if you get a chance to check that out, definite must-see on that one.
I will do that. I will check that out.
Yeah, you got to have 3 hours where you can just zone out and check it out. And a lot of people won't do it. They won't do it. They'll watch like 10 minutes and say, I can't believe this.
What do you think I do at work all day? I watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, well, this is, I tell you what, I saw it, and it just blew my mind because some of the stuff I remember, and I didn't draw the connections. And then other stuff I never heard of, and I went to check it out, and I'm like, damn, he's right. You know, he's and it sounds like a big, huge conspiracy thing, but it's all about Common Core and trying to make money off of the schools, trying to make money off of global institutions and that, and that's what it is. They're changing the world, but they're not doing it for the good of the world or the people. They're doing it for money.
Of course not. Yeah.
I heard that they were worshiping Moloch.
Moloch? Yeah, I've seen it. Alex Jones, yeah. Bohemian Grove, yeah. Big fan.
So does that mean that maybe they're not doing it for money, but maybe they're doing it because the Illuminati? I mean, we could be asking the big questions here, guys. I feel like we're really like barely scratching the surface. Like, what's your favorite hentai? Like, I like Bible Black is probably the best.
Mm-hmm. Somebody brought that up the other day, and I'm like, I actually have that somewhere in here.
Is Yuri gay, or is like should we make anime illegal? Do you think?
Well,
depends on the
Those cartoons are corrupting the children.
Well, I mean, my mom used to tell me when I was little. She was like, "Hey, you shouldn't be watching all this stuff because we bombed Japan, and they're just doing this so, like, as revenge. They're gonna turn all of you into women and little anime girls and brainwash you. And then in World War III, you're gonna fight for Japan."
Well, now, see now.
Literally a poll meme. It's literally a meme from poll.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to think.
Meme from poll?
Right. Well, you got to think. Dr. Seuss, the guy Theodore Geisel, that made Dr. Seuss. He was part of the nuclear projects and at the Manhattan Project, right? And he was trying to develop through his books. He was hired by the government to develop this way to teach kids to learn languages faster, to try to catch up with other countries, right? Because it had something with our educational system slipping or whatever. And so he started doing that, but he's got some really racist stuff in Dr. Seuss stuff that you don't see that he used to do for the government. And you figure Stan Lee, he got his start through the government. DC, you look at the the old Superman things, Wonder Woman, they're fighting Nazis and all that. Now these were all politically driven and motivated and started as propaganda.
Well, yeah, that makes sense because some of Dr. Seuss's work is very political. Like, I can't remember the title, but it's the one where they have the stars on their bellies, and it's apparently about race. Yes, it's
live
about
on the beaches.
Basically racism.
Well, and that's what's funny because he actually has some really, really racist stuff that he did, where he was like pro-racism, right? But that was only because the propaganda served the war machine at the time, right? Stan Lee got his start making VD posters for the Army. And it was like telling people not to have sex with people overseas or whatever. That's how he got started. He was just a regular like an army soldier, and they saw him doodling, and they're like, hey, we can put this guy to work, and that was the start of his career.
Jesus Christ.
And you figure our superheroes. Now you look at our superheroes, and that it's so ingrained in our society. And this whole thing like Batman is supposed to be this way, and Superman's supposed to be this way, and all this other stuff, right? And Captain America, whatever. Okay, but now you have the social justice thing where they're changing all of them, right? And that group, that Yes All Women group, right? That wasn't started by American women. That was started overseas, and that was an Islamic thing. And now they're doing like this line of all Islamic comics.
Oh, geez.
Superheroes, with Islamic values. So they're going to try to feed that into our system, right?
Wow.
Like it won't affect us, but like 20 years down the road, think about it. Like kids that grow up with this, they're going to be like, well, I want to be like Islamo man or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
to be fair,
didn't they? Isn't the new Captain Britain a fucking Muslim woman?
Well,
you do not understand. Islam was created to dominate. If you do not think that, you are Islamic phobic.
I was watching the history of Wonder Woman, right? And Wonder Woman, you know what she was supposed to be, her name, when it started? It was supposed to be Super Ma. It was a woman with an apron, and the creator was a guy that wanted to preach the values of women. right? But the thing is the more he did on it, okay, they said, well, that's too close to Superman, and he's like, well, that's what I'm going for, you know, Superma, you know, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, we can't do that. So then they developed the story further. But the thing that was funny is that they noticed that he was really, really into bondage, right? Because he had all these bondage things and all these. Yeah, and so now you see this pushback. I saw a few articles where they're talking about, like, well, feminist Wonder Woman doesn't have any bruises in that. It's like, well, Wonder Woman's first power is she cannot be bruised. Her skin's unbreakable. That's listed in the initial comics, right? So she can't be hurt. She's indestructible. She's not as strong as Superman, but she's indestructible, right?
Okay, but yeah, you can't expect these feminists to actually read the material they criticize. That's a little bit too much.
Well, no, this is the anti. Yeah, this is the anti-feminists that are criticizing, and what I'm saying is it was always a feminist character, right? And they already worked that in, that she had unbreakable skin. So the thing is like now Captain Marvel, on the other hand, wasn't necessarily a feminist character, but Carol Danvers was the most popular Captain Marvel. That's why they're going with a woman on that one. And that's not necessarily a feminist thing. That's just the most popular character.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman has always been a feminist icon. You know, she comes from an island of all women that was created by Zeus, created by a man, right?
Yeah.
Patriarchy.
I think everybody should stop reading comics like 2007. You know when they killed Mary Jane and or whatever in Spider-Man? I feel like that was a good time to stop watching comics. Watching them.
What? That like Spider-Gwen after that. I never feel like love Spider-Man.
No, you should stop reading comic books.
No.
Well, what do you guys think of, like? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I want to hear.
I was going to say actually, I've stopped reading comic books. They're all on my phone now. So to be fair, I can watch.
Well, you guys like the?
Are you listening to them now?
You guys like the Dragon Ball Z stuff, or like the earlier Dragon Ball Z? I don't know what they're doing now. I think they did the thing where they're Super Saiyan gods now or something.
I watched it growing up.
It's crazy shit. Yeah, I watched Dragon Ball Z growing up.
Yeah. Now, do you think there's political?
Man, it's good shit.
Yeah. Now, see, I like it. Do you think there's political messages in that? Because every once in a while, I think there is. Right?
Yeah,
actually,
isn't Goku Jesus? Goku's Jesus, right?
Really?
Isn't it? Yeah, Goku is essentially
I thought he was supposed to be like Superman.
Shonen anime is probably the most. I don't want to say red-pilled, like media you can watch, but essentially all it is, the message is if you believe in yourself and you train and practice every day, you can do and achieve great things.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's got a point. Like,
so I think the propaganda is, be great and believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story I got from Goku as well. He was never the strongest. He was never the best. He was just the hardest trainer. He trained harder than anybody else. It's just what I took away from it.
Yeah.
And he enjoyed the fight. He enjoyed the process of it.
Oh yeah, he fucking loved the fight.
No matter how strong
Dude's a complete idiot, but he's like, let's fight down there.
Well, Goku's actually a horrible father and a rapist, but everybody else in the show.
No, Chi-Chi's a rapist. Trust me on that.
I think he enjoyed dyeing his hair. Let's be fair.
Now, what about Piccolo as the
well, Piccolo was
asexual, or is that the word I'm looking for?
Piccolo was a Muslim, and he wanted to destroy the world, like with Sharia law and Dragon Ball. And then later on, he found Christ, and he started to be like, he changed his opinions, and now
I like that. I haven't thought of it that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, suddenly it all makes sense.
I don't know. If you look at anything with ideological lens, you can find some shit like that if you really want to.
Yeah, if you want to find racism or any kind of political undertones, you'll find it.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I mean, just look at the domestic abuse that went on between Chi-Chi and Goku. She beat his ass all the fucking time, and he was just like, "Okay, mommy."
Right. Well, yeah, and then Master Roshi, wasn't he a perv in the original?
Oh, he was.
Oh yeah. I remember that Krillin got
just
training for fucking bringing Master Roshi like a duffel bag full of porn magazines.
Yeah.
He actually had a house for like orphans, and like I think you guys misunderstand him. Like, Master Roshi was collecting panties as like a service to redistribute to people who couldn't afford them.
Oh.
And that's why Krillin worked.
Now it all makes sense.
Good lord.
As an anime character person, I think you guys misrepresent me in media, and I'm sick of being taken advantage of and like instantly blocked on social media.
I'm feeling oppressed.
I'm a Southern redneck.
I feel very repressed.
Think you really got it worse than I do, man? Let's get the Suppression Olympics going.
So you guys, how about GNU Social? How many of you have joined?
I have.
Yes.
Join what now?
The greatest alternative to Twitter. GNU Social.
I'm going to have to, apparently.
Good
I will.
news social. I'm on SeaLion.
You're already on it. Like,
Oh, I am? Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're in SeaLion.Club. You're part of the network.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm
Part
in.
of the ship, part of the crew.
So SeaLion.Club is the one that we're all talking about. Nice.
All right. GNU Social is just a network of different servers that are all connected together. Instead of one massive server like Twitter, it's just a bunch of different servers that are all connected, such as SeaLion.Club and 12 other sites that are all they all message back and forth.
Yeah, and could you guys stop tagging everybody and responding to it? Because I'm about to kill all of you.
Oh no.
Yeah, they just won't stop responding. Well, I didn't know. I didn't know this would happen.
Well, when you got 1,400 characters, you gotta abuse that shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe cut it down a little.
Oh, cognitive thought, is that, so you're on there?
Yeah, I'm on SeaLion.Club, of course I am. Fucking hell.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Everyone was like, get on there, man, get on. So I was like, alright, cool.
Oh, what's
I
the
got
point?
on there.
Is this in the wake of the whole Milo thing, or why is everyone leaving Twitter all of a sudden?
It's not that I'm leaving Twitter. I'm staying on Twitter too. It's just like if they kick me off, I'd rather have a backup there. So it's,
Oh yeah,
Well,
good
yeah.
point, but
Yeah,
I don't
see,
know.
I won't be as active
was,
on there.
that was my thing, you know. I go pretty hard on the feminists, and I mean that's kind of my thing. I enjoy it. It's what I love to do, you know. It's where I got a lot of my following from, and
You make short work of them too.
Yeah, yeah. It's you know, you practice. But you know, now I'm at the point where I don't even want to engage with these people anymore because I don't want to be banned. I've been following Janet Bloomfield, Judgy Bitch, for the longest time. She's gotten blocked, suspended multiple times. Now she's a little bit more
she's more hardcore.
Avant-garde. Right. She's definitely a little bit more hardcore than I am. But I don't say things that are that much different than what she says. But to this date, I've never been suspended. I've never been nothing. I'm sure people have reported me, but I have never had any consequences come from my actions. So I'm at the point right now where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it would be fun to rip this bitch a new one, but
is it worth it?
Cost?
Right?
Exactly. At what cost? You know? And
yeah.
I think all of you guys should just leave Twitter.
Well, I get to the point where you're questioning whether you should say something or not, based on the fact you might get banned off of the social media. I don't know. I'm the type of person, I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say.
Yeah, well, see, and that's how I am. Like, I say exactly what's on my mind. I have no filter when it comes to...
You're censoring yourself because you don't want to get banned, though. And that's the whole purpose behind what they're doing, is to censor you. They're not censoring you. You're censoring yourself now. They don't have to do it.
Well,
if
see,
you
and
censor yourself, the terrorists win.
Well, see, the thing is, though, is you want to win this fight, right?
Okay, here's what you do, though. Just change your name. Just change your name to something Arabic. Pretend you're an ISIS account, and no one will ever ban you. You'll never get banned.
Fucking perfect.
That is
Isn't she fucking great, you guys?
so accurate.
Guys, what's this thing on SeaLion.Club at the moment? It says I'm gonna duct tape fix this until 12 AM Eastern.
You're gonna what?
Get a backup account somewhere yourself, and it's got that GNU. Is that what you're on about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, Twitter. I understand it's like a public service now, but it's still a private company, and that I work in advertising. Like, I do digital strategy, marketing, and place ads all over the internet. And you guys, as long as you're using the service, and anytime you guys hop on something like free Milo or something like that, there's people who are going to use it to make money off of you. And the only way, even though Twitter makes no like actual money, they don't ever turn a profit. If people continue to just use the service, they'll continue to remain the platform for microblogging. And I don't know, just like break the mold, man. They're going to do what they're going to do. They don't want us there. So get off.
See, you have to have a mass exodus to, I mean, to really hit them hard is what I'm thinking, but I don't know how we go about
never
that.
Works. Because here's the reason why a mass exodus doesn't work, and I've been a part of several. I was part of many 4chan mass exodus, many Twitter ones, whatever, Reddit, who cares? They don't work because every single time it happens, it's only one segmented group that feels persecuted. So in this case, it's all the anti-SJWs, or I don't know what you guys would call yourselves, because I mean, you have people ranging from Trump supporters to anarcho-capitalists in your group of people, but like when they go onto a new service, it just leans like that. And actually, the best thing that people can do, and since we're all free speech people, is be able to have an open discussion and communicate and listen. And I'm not talking about you need to listen to black people because nobody listens to them, but just like listen and then like respond. So when everybody does an exodus, it's fun at first. People are there and talking, and then people are like, "Oh, what's happening back on the other server? I better get back over there." And then, like, too many people are addicted to that feeling of like anger and rage that they get on these major media platforms. Like, we all know Twitter is like hiding shit from everybody and shadow banning people. Facebook is doing it too. All these are services that do not have to be used, but like, I know it has the normie appeal. You can't red pill people if they're not on your service, but like, an exodus needs to include more than one demographic.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other issue with exodus is every single time there's an exodus, it's like, oh, hold on, sorry, I took so much Adderall today.
It shows.
Every time there is an exodus, it becomes a secret club like 6 months later, and nobody wants to welcome in new people. Like, I have not been silent about my annoyance by some of the SeaLion.Club users who've jumped on board, but I had the power to mute them if they're annoying me, or move on. But it's just people have to welcome in new people too. So like the anarchists and the communists on Twitter, you know, they didn't run us away when we came on during the last one. We were like, oh yeah, fuck the man, yeah, fuck the machine. They were like, we don't want to hear you, go to a different server. But they weren't like, get the hell off of our service, which was important because we're not doing that this time. So we can learn a thing from the communists.
The reason why I got on Twitter was Agbar was shit posting a bunch of shit, and I was like, I want to join in.
I think it's cool that there's so many different types of people on there, though.
I do too.
It's exciting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everybody for the most part is being cool with each other. Nobody's fighting. Everybody's being weird, and some people are being aggressive or offensive, but everybody's just taking it, you know, in a joking manner. Nobody's getting offended or anything.
It's not
personally, I get triggered constantly. But
it's not a perfect platform. It's built, like, if you guys have a chance to watch my intro video, it is built on really, really old technology. Like, even the guy who created the first server, he's at MMN. You'll see him. He doesn't even know how it works. And so you have server admins like Hope on SeaLion.Club and Moonman on my instance and Mayana on Highland Arrow. Like, they're all pushing the platform. It's moddable, it's customizable, you can develop plugins for it. Like, it's the user interface isn't intuitive. So the more people who can hop in and like learn the fundamentals of free software and like contribute and make it better, it makes it better for the people who are coming later on. Like, a lot of what you see now wasn't even there 6 months ago, and the usability has gone up. So get interested in learning what everybody else is talking about sometimes, I'd say.
So now you're saying that, because this question did get presented to me, you're saying that it can be modified, right?
It can be.
Okay, cool.
Everything is like, especially if you start your own server. Like I said, Quitter. I don't know how the hell you pronounce. It's
Quitter or something. Yeah.
That's the plugin that we're using. That's the Twitter one. But if you're the admin of a server, you can go in and replace sprite sheets or change CSS and all that other stuff. So you can work with your admins or you can start your own test server.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just basic JavaScript, in other words.
No, it's a nightmare. It's a PHP fueled nightmare. It's using like a bastardized RSS feed thing. So.
See, I'm just kind of concerned that SeaLion is going to go the way Vote did or 8chan did, and it's going to end up with like a couple thousand dedicated people using it and no one else.
It can't. It can't. And I discussed this earlier. It can't go the way of that because all the servers are connected. And so even if SeaLion.Club just becomes a giant circle jerk of alt-right faggots, you still have other instances and nodes that you will be able to see and be visual like on your whole known network timeline. Unless Hope gets banned from everywhere. I mean, her server's been banned a couple of times by other nodes, but like, if that happens, just make a new one. It's really easy.
Right.
And it's like $5 a month to host a GNU Social server for like 200 people.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Wow. How many people? How many people do you think are on SeaLion?
Enough to crash at least twice a day.
Yeah, it's crashing, but. Might be my fault.
Depending on active accounts versus like actual users, I'd say you guys probably have close to 100 active users. You probably have something in the thousands of actual accounts, though.
Wow,
I know in
nice.
Shitposter Club I'm 666, and so that's some amount of IDs of people registered up until that point, and then we're probably in the thousands too. But we only have like less than 50 active.
Yeah. Wow. It seems like there's more than that for some reason.
There may be. I don't know. I haven't been following everybody. I auto-follow anybody who follows me, but I don't know who's on my server anymore.
Cool. All right, guys. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
Oh wow.
I just make jokes. That's all I do. I mean, I live in a fucking red state where there's 99.8% conviction rate, and I'm a fucking left wing, so you know I gotta have some kind of sense of humor just to make it through the fucking day.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
All right, you guys. My garden actually needs me, so I gotta water some plants. But yeah, if you guys want to talk about anything else before I go.
Yeah, what haven't we covered?
Yeah, that's the thing. We've destroyed these topics. So.
How do you get? Here's the question I have for you guys, because it's going to be the curse and it's going to be the blessing at the same time. How are you going to get a celebrity to start a server on GNU Social? Because even with this free Milo stuff and Nero leaving and all that other crap, he still hasn't transitioned, and he'll most likely eventually end up back on Twitter. So while I don't want all of Nero's people to come over to GNU Social necessarily, it's going to take celebrities to stay on this network to bring in more people. I don't know. Do you guys know who Todd Kincannon is?
Yes.
Todd was on Shitposter Club for about 3 months, and you know it was interesting because he had people he was bringing over, but even though he's an attention whore, he was funny and it was fun to interact with him. But when he eventually left and went back to Twitter, and Notch was on SeaLion.Club, I think, or Free Speech, and Notch was fun, and he brought people over, and it's just, how do you convince these people that are fighting for the same things you guys are fighting for, the free speech stuff, to come over and give it a chance? There are other microblogging platforms, but I think this one's the best one for free speech since no one can be banned from the entire thing.
Is Milo not on there? Mm-hmm. Milo not on SeaLion.Club? I thought he was. But it's Milo Unopol 6 or something like that.
Unopolis.
Yeah, it's Unopolis, but it's with a 6 at the end or something.
Oh.
Milo Unopol 6. Oh. Is that not Milo's account? That's what someone told me the other day, and I've not even looked, to be fair. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, there's like a few placeholder accounts around. Like, I mean, I've seen one for Sugar Tits and one for one for Sargon, but like, I don't know if they're ever going to turn up and claim them.
Yeah.
Well, another thing
Nero
is
was claimed. Sorry, I was going to say Nero was claimed.
oh, it's fine. The other issue is, and this is from ex-Gamergate shit, a lot of these people started with a good message, and you know how it went. Like, now they're doing, like, they may still say a good thing every once in a while, but if you look at the before and after pictures of Milo, he's a fucking lunatic now, and like, he's cashing in on a specific audience that that just likes to feel mad. It's the same thing as somebody paying into Anita Sarkeesian's bank account. And so some of these people, like, the only place they're going to be able to do that and continue to retain and grow their following is Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. So I'd say try to push people, if you're friends with anybody who's like 6,000 to 1,000 people clout on social media, see if they'll come over.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are there any phone apps for this?
For Android, there's and status and something else. I don't know what it is. I just use the mobile site.
Nothing for iOS?
I don't think so.
See, I think one problem is that apps for it. I think that's
build it, make it. It's free software. Make it. Corner of the market.
Oh fuck! I don't have my Mac anymore. Shit. Yeah, and jeez, it needs to be easier for the layperson to use. I mean, like, it just SeaLion just by itself is, you know, it's pretty straightforward. But if I'm understanding everything, it can get a little bit convoluted when you want to communicate with people from different nodes, if I'm understanding everything, or different servers even. Or am I just missing something?
The most difficult part to do is to remote follow people, and that's not difficult if they show up in your network. You can just hover over their name and hit follow. Otherwise, if there's somebody you want to follow like me, and I'm not showing up in your network, you have to like go and hit the remote follow button, and then you type in basically at your username at the server, and then you can remote follow them. So that's not very intuitive, but whatever. Oh, okay, apparently there are iPhone clients.
Oh, there are?
Yeah, there's a FAQ that has a whole bunch of shit in it.
I'll have to look.
Mayo, meteoric, a word I can't spell. So yeah, there's a big FAQ that talks about this shit. I don't have a link to it, so.
Roba, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're using a virtual webcam input for your avatar thing. Am I correct?
No, that's me in real life.
No, but my question is, what software are you using for the camera input for Hangouts?
This is actually FaceRig. If you install it, it comes already with a virtual camera, so you just set the camera up under your settings.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to find something that isn't XSplit because XSplit is shit.
Yeah, XSplit is shit. Well, you could try OBS.
I don't think OBS has that feature yet. I actually looked into that, and it doesn't seem to actually have that, unless there's something in the settings that I'm missing.
Well, this one comes pre-installed. Like, when you install it, it installs a custom camera input on your device. So.
I see.
I hate it, though. It's not very good.
As long as it's better than XSplit.
Oh, the camera thing's fine. I'm just saying that the FaceRig isn't a great app.
Oh, I see.
All right, guys. Anything else, you guys, before I shut her down? Thank you guys for all the support, all the viewers, and all of you guys. Thanks for the subs. Really appreciate it. And especially, I enjoyed all of the guests today. You guys were awesome, and this was definitely my all-time favorite hangout so far. So thank you guys. It was a lot of fun.
Because I was here.
Yeah, really good time.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
Had a great
everybody.
time.
Thanks for having us, Logic, to be fair.
Yeah, and I hope that you guys come again. I would love to have all of you guys back. You were awesome.
Oh, mate, I always come again.
Plenty more where that came from.
Oh yes.
Come here, Daddy gonna give you a kiss.
You got a perky mouth.
Oh wow. All right, you guys.
Jeez. All right,
Okay, cheers, guys. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
All right.